pausing. Hold on. Okay. And we're live. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
How's it going, Scarlett?
Good. So good. You know, a lot of that is because I choose for it to be good, because I get up in the morning and I choose love. I think of something I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have another opportunity, another day, a new beginning, because I'm not the same person that I was when I went to bed the night before. You know, everything that happened during the day, it was processed in my mind overnight, and I wake up and I'm just a little bit better. And I've learned just a few lessons, a lot from you, Catherine, a lot from you, Pato, because I'm blessed with your friendship. But then here's this new day and another opportunity to use what I've learned in the world and to spread love. And so I'm doing really good, because that's what we're doing right now. How blessed are we?
I know. How blessed are we? And yes, so grateful that every day is a chance to start new, to do things better, or sometimes worse, but you know, to choose to
right.
Moment by moment. And happy Global Love Day. So yes, May 1st.
Global Love Day. All right. That's something to celebrate for sure.
That's definitely something to celebrate.
Absolutely. Yes. And for all those listening, we have the leading love expert globally, Miss Scarlett Lewis from the Choose Love movement. So grateful to have Scarlett here today. And then Pato Banton, who is our compassion experts and a pretty amazing musician. So touring around the world. So we're so lucky to have captured him for a few minutes in between tours.
And actually my last album was called Love is the Greatest Thing in the World. And every single song on the album is focused on a different aspect of love, like relationship love, brotherly love, universal love, the love of God, all different my love of my mother, all different aspects of love, you know. So today I'm going to be playing that album all day. And Bob Marley's record label, Tough Gang, actually signed that album and released that album globally.
Oh my gosh.
It's on Bob Marley's label.
Wow. That is amazing. We should be listening to some of that right now.
That was a dream come true.
Oh, it was probably for him too.
Oh man.
That is so cool. See, you're just like full of surprises, Paco. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Blown away.
So inspiring. Yes.
It's funny, you know, because I'm always underestimating myself and always putting myself down. And then when I remember, hold on, I did this before, I've done that. And it's like, wow, I've really done a lot of things that I don't even have the time to reflect on, you know?
I know. Like our last conversation with you, when you're like, yeah, and then I got this call shooting, and so I quit my tour and I went home and I reduced violence in my by 50%.
Yeah, incredible. You know what's incredible to me, Pato, is that even with all of your accomplishments and all that you've done, and not just like in the music world and with your gifts and talents, but also through compassion and through your efforts to better your community, with all that you've done and the fact that you've dedicated your life towards goodness, you still have those thoughts that go through your head that tell you you're not enough and question you. And I think that's so interesting, because I think people might look at you and think that you would never have those thoughts. And it's almost comforting to know that even you do, and everyone that's listening right now has those thoughts. And, you know, I think today is a good time to talk about how to use the skills that we all teach to overcome those thoughts of fear, which are really simply not trying to harm you. They're actually trying to protect you.
To you.
Keep you small,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah. And I wanted to say as well, sometimes that fear that you just mentioned, you know, that lack of self-worth can sometimes cause us to accept less than we deserve. You know, and it's a balance where we have to say, you know, I am deserving, you know, I am deserving, and I need to make sure that I am treated, you know, because we're always willing to give everyone the love and respect they deserve. We're always trying to lift people up, but sometimes we encounter people who are not trying to lift us up, you know, and that's when we have to set those boundaries and say, hold on, no, you know, I need to protect myself here and recognize my worth.
That's so huge. And I will say it takes a tremendous amount of courage. And I'll be vulnerable in saying that I just started doing that, practicing that Pato following Jesse, my 6-year-old son's murder. His example of courage, saving 9 of his friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, if he could do that, facing a gun at 6 years old, then I can take a look at my life. And I did. And I realized almost every single decision I've ever made, every relationship, every job was taken out of fear. And I literally made a vow to myself that I would not do that anymore. And it's not that I'm perfect in it. I'm certainly not. Fear creeps in, and but I'm aware of it, and I know what I need to do, and I can get that courage that I need, that courage muscle that we have to strengthen every day to help me make the choices that keep me on that path towards healing, towards hope, towards compassion, towards love.
Yeah. Catherine, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Just beautiful. I'm just so grateful to be with you both. I mean, I'm thinking about my dad, and I lost my dad to suicide, and he was in therapy right before he passed. And the therapist is like, tell your dad how, things that he did made you feel. And I told him some of the things, and he died, not long after. And just so how hard it is for me it's easy for me to try to take care of other people. And I love helping and supporting other people. And I think I'm constantly trying to heal that wound through my actions and relationships with others, because I don't want to think about my own needs, because there is, I think, so much fear around that with me personally, just in the consequences of doing that. So it's an important discussion. And, we talk about love in terms of other people, but love of self, how do we love self, and how do we take care of self in a way, and not just others, I mean,
without take care of self without being selfish.
Yes. Right.
I had a conversation with a few professors the other day. They're theologians, I believe. Is that what you call religious professors?
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Yeah. And they were talking about unconditional love. And I jumped in and I says, I'm sorry, but there's no such thing as unconditional love. There has to be some conditions. Even raising children, you have to set certain boundaries and guidelines for the children. And there's good behavior and bad behavior. If it was unconditional, then there'd be no bad behavior. There would only be good behavior, because everything would be accepted. And I said, even God, even in our universe, we're told to obey certain laws, spiritual laws, ethics, morality is all about those guidelines, those conditions. And there's something I read that said, love must be tempered with wisdom. So you can love as much as you can love, but at the same time, you have to be wise about your love. And that's why Jesus said, don't throw your pearls before swine, because you can have all this love and end up giving it to the wrong people, and they don't appreciate the love you have. So for me personally, I love everybody, but I'm not going to let anybody make me into a doormat because of that love. It has to be mutually reciprocal.
I love that and I think that's really what they meant. Loving everyone does not mean that you sacrifice your values, your morals, your needs for the other person. Love includes boundaries for yourself. I think about you brought up Jesus. I think about Jesus's love for all of us. That is unconditional love, because I certainly I've made mistakes, and I know that he loves me anyway. It's like a parent's love for a child. They make mistakes. They do what you told them not to do. And there is that unconditional love, but that love also, like you said, includes boundaries, includes guidelines, includes a roadmap of how to be your best self.
Mm-hmm. And I remember when Jesus said, he said, in the great judgment, many will come to me saying, did we not prophesy in your name and do many great works? But I will be forced to say to you, depart from me, I never knew you. And he's talking about false teachers who go out there and do so many wonderful works in the name of Jesus, and they do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, they're robbing the community, and they're buying airplanes and Rolls Royces with the members' money, when they could be doing so much good in the world.
I know it's really important to we give our power to these leaders or these, and we're all human. So it's like we have to be connected to our own divine self and our own wisdom, not blindly be led,
blindly.
So much. So yeah, absolutely.
Blindly or out of fear.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Out of fear of our inability to know the divine. And we all are so connected. We just have to open ourselves to it. It's like my life changed so much when I learned to start meditating and stop my mind from all of this and start getting into receiving guidance and wisdom, and shutting my ego out, and becoming the channel.
That's right. Be still.
Yes.
Be absolutely still and know that I am.
Oh, God, yes. And I am, because we are, right?
And now more than ever before, because 70 years ago we didn't have all of the stuff we have today, all of this social media, the TVs, the cell phones, all of these distractions that 24 hours a day you can just be on go until you have to just crash, fall asleep, wake up, and then you go. It's interesting when I'm on a plane and everybody's about to take off. We're about to take off. Everybody's on their phone sending their last message. Then the phones all go away. And then as soon as the wheels touch back on the runway, all the phones come back out and everybody's just looking at their phone again.
Actually, you don't have to land before you can do the phone. I think you got your break 10,000 feet. That's when I'm on mine.
Yep. All you hear is ding, 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 ding. Everybody's getting their messages. It's like we really have to protect that sacred time. It really takes a lot of effort to say, I'm going to make some time for my inner life, you know?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
and then you have to sacrifice the outer life, the material world, because it's not going to stop. You just have to stop and step off the treadmill and say, all right, let me get some time to really go within and get the inner guidance that I need so I can make better decisions, you know, and be more loving. Because I always find that when I come from a time of meditation and prayer, I always come out filled with more love to share and more love to give and more
Oh.
more energy to be out there being of service, you know?
Yes. Love that. So important. Scarlett, I would love to get, because it is Global Love Day, and you, I mean, Pato, you of course are an expert as well. Scarlett, you've been teaching love as a skill. I just shared our website. We have a website called lovecompassionhope.org. And we put up their scales because there are scientifically validated scales that help us measure love, that help us measure hope, and that help us measure compassion. And I think, we want to start talking these, they talk about them as soft skills. And I think they're a harder skill than math, science, because they really predict all of our success in life, how well we do, how connected we are to other humans. Like, if we graduate college, our healthcare outcomes, like so many things are predicted by these. And so, Scarlett has been teaching love as a skill around the world for many, many years. And, pretty incredible story of how you got to love. Encourage you to read more about Scarlett and the Choose Love movement. But maybe if you could just take us through the formula, and we could talk about the formula a little bit about how we love. It's like very hard to love some people right now that are, hurting others and in the environment that we're in right now. How do we choose love when it's easy to just go to disdain or hatred, rage, or all of the things?
I think that's putting it into context, Catherine, and like a really usable skill that we would all like for people to have right now. And it also underlines why we're seeing what we're seeing, why people are behaving with such hatred. When we look at the neuroscience behind that, it's because they're in their fear brains. I mean, we break it down in the Choose Love movement. It's pretty simple because it has to be simple for me. We're either in love or fear, and they come from different parts of our brains. We can't be in both places at once, which is a really great thing. And we actually have a choice in the matter. We use the cognitive triangle. Our thoughts impact directly how we feel and then behave. And so you can use that cognitive triangle backwards to figure out where somebody's coming from. You don't need to be in front of them. You can look at what they're posting on social media or what you're reading in the newspaper. If it's literally anything less than a smile or kind messaging, anger, hatred, resentment, bitterness, revenge. We're seeing a lot of that. In fact, that's the underlying cause of all the shootings and all the bullying that's going on. We know that they're coming from fear because all of those things are a mask for fear. So you've got fear or love, and then you have the Choose Love movement. We're designed to give you a choice in the matter. All the decisions made out of fear and all the choices made out of love look vastly different. And in my own life, I wanted to choose love as a thoughtful response following my 6-year-old son's murder at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And really, why did I want to do that? Because I wanted to do that for myself. I wanted to model for Jesse's older brother how to move through tragedy and not allow it to define us for the rest of our lives, but to refine us, to help us learn and grow and become better people because of what happened, not despite that. And so, Jesse left a message on our kitchen chalkboard, nurturing, healing, love. The way I came up with the formula literally was his example of courage, saving 9 of his classmates' lives. Courage is the most important character value. It's the one that underlies all the rest. And the incredible thing is, courage is like a muscle. We can actually practice it to strengthen it. How do we do that? Well, we do it. We have opportunities every single day because life is throwing us curveballs. We're in hard situations. The person to the left of you, the person to the right of you are going through a hard time. And so it's instead of acting out of the trigger, getting triggered by something somebody says, pausing and feeling empathy and actually realizing, oh my gosh, they're coming from love. They're coming from fear. And so I feel compassion for them and maybe asking them, if everything's okay, instead of reacting in kind, which, by the way, is what our brain wants us to do because it wants us to defend ourselves. So then the rest of the formula, it's very simple. Simple isn't always easy. I will add that little disclaimer.
Yeah.
So we've got courage. We've got nurturing. I took Jesse's message on the chalkboard. Nurturing means loving kindness and gratitude. So we know so much about gratitude and how it shifts our thoughts. Remember, we can only be in love and fear or fear. So gratitude shifts us from the fear center to the love center. It literally moves the data from the fear center to our prefrontal cortex, where the brake on our instinctual reactions is, where our highest and best self is, gives us a 10% boost in mood. And there's always something to be grateful for. Then healing is forgiveness. Literally, forgiveness, so important to be able to, because we're going to get hurt. People are going to hurt us. People are not perfect. We will get our feelings hurt. Our kids are going to get hurt. So having a tool to be able to process that hurt, find appropriate meaning so that we're not victimized for the rest of our lives, and then to put that pain down. We call it harvest the gifts, put the pain down, and move forward a better person because of what happened, not despite. And then compassion. And this is a great segue into Pato, but love is compassion in action. Yeah. And so taking what we've learned and using it to help other people. I believe that's why we're here on earth. And that is the way to choose love.
Thank you.
I love
Beautiful.
that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I'm in recovery, and one of the things is looking at resentments every day and then identifying, and this is so hard for me, and several times in my life, because I so know that it's the other person's fault, and I know it's what they did. And in recovery, you have to look at the resentment about that and then identify where I was, what I did that led to that, what my place is in that, and where I have power. And I just, wonder what a world would look like if we were all doing that. For everything that we have resentments over other people, what they're doing, where am I contributing to this problem? And what can I do from a powerful standpoint, and a kind and a loving, choosing love standpoint? Our world is not acting from a loving place right now. A lot of people now, a lot of people also argue it's just the news portrays that very clearly. And if you go around in daily life, the reality of that is most people are acting from a pretty loving place. Likely get on the news and in leadership. I think there's a lot of this, and finding what is our role in it. And, because I see so many people becoming the very thing that they're complaining about, or that they're against, or that they don't. And I think for me too, in the restorative justice place, and that's why I think restorative justice works, because when you actually have to go face to face with the person you're harming and kind of make amends and look in the human's eye, and like identify.
Wait a minute. Do you mean getting out from behind the cowardice of a screen?
No, exactly. Or the Twitter, tweeting away, like, I mean, would we treat each other like, I think most humans really wouldn't.
Here's one thing you can do. I had a thought.
Kind of
before we move into restorative justice, can I share my thought about what we can do? Like I do believe most people are good and we want peace, peace around the world. These warring countries, the families that are within them, they just want peace and they want their kids to be safe. And it was interesting. Somebody the other day was complaining to a reporter, and I was doing an interview with this reporter. And they were saying everything that you guys put out is fearful information. And he goes, don't read it. You don't want it. You want better news stories. I mean, the reason that they do that is our brains are attracted to fear, right? It's our brain's way of thinking that it's keeping us safe. Don't read it. Don't consume it. Don't share it. Don't participate in fear. You'll feel better immediately. Put this thing down. Just put it down. Turn it over and walk away, because we have a lot more control over this situation, and our actions, they actually do matter in the long run.
Yeah, and tune into Pato's music, right, Pato?
Absolutely.
I wanted to say something as well in relation to what Scarlett was saying about love and fear. And I guess as a student of spirituality, it also relates to materialism versus spirituality and human biology versus spiritual thinking. Like Scarlett was saying, we have this higher and better self. And I had a musician friend. I'm going to just give you two quick examples. I had a musician friend who had two girlfriends, and we was on tour. And he says, Pato, I've got two girlfriends, and one of them is demanding that we get married and have a family. But he says, marriage and monogamy is not natural. And I said to him, I totally agree. If you look in the animal kingdom, you'll see that many animals have more than one partner. But monogamy is spiritual. To put your faith and trust and love into one person, and to grow a family and have a home, that is spiritual. And he went and got married. A few months later, they were married. And he told me years later that conversation changed his way of thinking forever. And then to go back to what Scarlett was saying about fear and love, in human beings, there is a genetic makeup within us from when we were more primitive that forced us or caused us to only love our tribe, and this was necessary at that time for us to be protective and to have that tribe mentality, so that we, outside of the immediate family, you could start to love more people within a tribal setting. And that was a step forward to go from just your relatives to the tribe. That was a big step. Now, with spiritual thinking, it becomes the world. And on World Love Day, the mindset is supposed to change from you only loving the people of your race or only the people from your country. That's why nationalism is such a big problem sometimes, because you become so patriotic to your flag that you see everyone else as the enemy, where we have to really look beyond the barriers of nationalism and become international and recognize that everyone on this planet is deserving of love and peace and respect. And once we get there, we'll see all of these wars diminishing, because war no longer, there was a time also when war served us, for many different reasons, even though it sounds strange. But now that we are supposed to be civilized, and now that we've gone past the need of those wars, now is the time for us to be working towards peace. So a lot of the wars that we're seeing right now are only based on a few people's greed, rather than a global need to bring certain parts of the world into unification. We don't need these wars anymore. So it is time for humanity, for us to start stepping up into our higher thinking, our higher mind, our better self, so that we can really love each other on a global and even universal level.
Yeah, absolutely. You think about, the frontal lobe, it's the most evolved part of the brain. And I just look at how our leaders are just in their reptilian brains, and how unevolved it is. They're not evolved. I mean, that's the bottom line. And we say you can't be in love and fear at the same time. True. And love is in your more evolved brain. And so I'm like, gosh, we've evolved so much less than I actually thought, based on the leaders' behavior right now. I mean,
well, if you look at it, and you said greed, Pato, but it's also revenge, working from revenge. And revenge is the cause of almost all bullying, all school violence, all wars. And we actually have an eye for an eye brain. As you said, evolutionarily, that helped us survive, yet we still have it. So everyone has thoughts of revenge at certain times in their life. It's a natural thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And we actually get rewarded for it if you look neuroscientifically at what happens in your brain when you have a thought of revenge. And that's, by the way, when you have a grievance and you're holding pain, it's in the same part of your brain as addiction. And you have that thought of revenge, you get a hit of dopamine. And so that's your brain trying to even itself out. And that's what's happening, like, in front of us. We see that in our local papers. And the interesting thing is, the antidote to revenge, and really the only known antidote, that and we can see this in MRI scans, neuroscientifically, the research all points to forgiveness. Forgiveness stops that pain immediately and activates what Catherine was talking about, the prefrontal cortex, and allows us to deal with it in a civilized manner.
Yes.
And so we have the potential. We have that prefrontal cortex. It's just moving that data from our fear center, not carrying a grievance. When we actually carry pain, it becomes lodged into our addiction center, and revenge becomes the most dangerous addiction. This is per James Kimmel Jr. and his incredible book, Science of Revenge, because we take pleasure in other people's pain. And that is literally, it's how we're wired. And so we just have to know it. It's amazing to me, as having a son who was a victim of a school shooting, and continuing to see articles come out saying we don't know the motive. We don't have a motive. They still don't have a motive for the Sandy Hook school shooting 13 years later. And of course, through science, and it takes a long time for this to get out there, we do have a motive. We know what the motive is. It's revenge. And we also have an antidote to it, and we've got to teach it. We got to get it out there. Anybody who's listening, the antidote is compassion, hope, and love. That's the antidote. That's the antidote. You want to end wars? Get this message out. Listen to this. Share this with 3 friends. This is where it's at, and it impacts all of us. But we are very powerful. And I do think, especially on World Love Day, that the anxiety and the stress that we feel when we read about wars and we see people being murdered, women and children, it's like we're not helpless. We have a part in this. If we do nothing, we're almost an accomplice. share this message. Don't look at fearful headlines. Share love and peace and hope and compassionate messaging, and it will make a difference. Do it within yourself. Make that choice. It's actually the hardest thing that you'll do. It sounds very simple. It is simple, but it's not easy. And so put that challenge to yourself and role model this for the people around you. It will make a difference in the ripple effect.
Don't you think it's interesting how most of the leading movies are the ones where the good guy goes out and gets revenge on the bad guys?
You know what? You know what, Pato? Like, I love what is it? It's Sylvester Stallone. What's the movie where he's a Vietnam vet and he comes back and he's so horribly treated and then he takes out revenge on what's that called? Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember. I used to love to watch those movies, the whole series. You know why? Because it satisfied me, because I was getting my revenge out through him. I'm like, yeah, get him, right?
Yeah.
But and that's our primitive brain. That's our eye for an eye brain, and we all have it. It's just being aware of it and then knowing how to counteract that. Because here's the thing: that never leads to healing, ever. It leads to continuing suffering and escalating suffering for yourself, as well as for the other party. And the only thing that fixes it is forgiveness. And we have these misconceptions about what forgiveness is. It's like, what, they don't deserve it. It's letting them off the hook. It's saying that what they did was okay. And it's none of those things. It is simply choosing love for yourself and relief and freedom from continued pain.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and I know we've had this discussion, Scarlett. I believe it underlying the revenge comes from anger and our inability to manage our anger in healthy ways. And when we're angry, we have stress hormones, and those stress hormones then affect our immune system, our functioning, our ability to think. We're in that primitive brain. We want immediate relief from that. And revenge is one of the ways we can get immediate relief. So, I mean, violence is all addictive impulses. We can get relief. So we're wanting to manage those stress hormones. We're wanting to manage our anger, our sadness, fear, and we're just doing it in really, unhealthy ways. There was I can't remember the podcast recently, but like, we need the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin, and getting revenge is one way to get those. It's just in a really unhealthy way. They said you have to always do work prior to actually getting the release of that dose. So anything you get immediate doses from, immediate gratification with those positive hormones, is an unhealthy approach to it. You need to actually work on it.
You mean like scrolling?
Yeah, exactly. Spending, gambling, all of those things, immediate, bullying.
Good.
Immediate. Yes. But when you have to work for it.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's
exercise where you have to get up and start doing it, and then you earn it. So you go towards a goal, you start doing it, and then you earn it. That's the way you get those positive hormones in healthy ways. And it's interesting too, I used to think, well, I'll just be motivated to do those things. Like, I'll get the thought, I'll want to go to the gym, I'll want to work out. That's actually not how the reward system works. You get motivated by doing the thing first, and then you get a hit of that, and then you're like, oh, I want to go to the next step. And I'm like, that is so true. Like, we keep thinking, I want to stop drinking. I'm going to want to stop smoking. I want to, you actually have to start doing those things to where you then build on that reward system. And then you start getting motivated to stay on that track to do it. That's why they say, make your bed first thing in the morning, even if you don't want to, because you do the work, you get a hit of that, and then you get motivated to do more things, to accomplish more things in the day.
It's your first win.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the forgiveness or courage,
gratitude, courage. It's in order, by the way, and the order is specific because it returns what's something called your locus of control back inside you, where you have the power to be your authentic self and to choose love. And so you got to start with courage, because it takes courage to do the rest of the character values. Courage to be grateful, especially when things aren't going your way. Courage to forgive, especially when the person who hurt you isn't sorry, doesn't care, maybe doesn't even know they hurt you. And then courage to step outside of everything that's going on in your life, your distraction, your busyness, and your own pain that you're carrying, to help other people. That is compassionate action. When you do those things in that order, you got to start with courage. Then just grateful thoughts, switch your mindset, forgive, lay down something that you've been carrying, pick up something small. What's something small that you've been carrying around? Maybe your whole life, maybe just for a year. Put it down, just forgive. They don't even remember. It's old stuff. The person who hurt you isn't thinking about it. It only lives in your brain. Put it down, choose that. And then compassion is putting it all together in loving kindness. And that's how to live. That's the best way to live. That's the best way to heal, because we're all in a healing process. And that's really a safe, kind, compassionate, hopeful world. And that's why the three of us are together, because we want to seed that. We want to build it, and it's possible.
Why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult when somebody knows these clues and these techniques that you're sharing? Why is it so hard for someone to actually live it?
Okay.
Put it in practice?
Such a great question. And then I have to leave in 3 minutes.
Yes.
But here's my take on it. First of all, we're all wired with a negative bias. So we are scanning for negativity, and the majority of our thoughts are negative and repetitive. We focus on problems out there. That's why fear sells, because our brains are buying it. That's one thing. And the other thing is, we have an eye for an eye brain. We get rewarded for vengeful thoughts. We get rewarded for being triggered and then reacting. Catherine, you make a comment that I perceive to be negative. My brain pats me on the back when I say something rude back to you. And you may have been giving me a compliment, and I just perceived it wrong. I think that's why it's so hard, Pato, because our brains are like looking for people to hurt us. And I think, when we're working from our beautiful prefrontal cortex and our heart, it lowers these metaphorical dukes. Put your dukes down, right? And it helps us be our authentic self, be vulnerable. And you will get hurt, but you understand that hurt people. And so you can thoughtfully respond with love back. You don't take it personally. You forgive, you move on, you be a source of peace.
That's the one, taking it personally.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Totally.
Don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And we forget about God. Like, where's God in all of it? Like, why do we have to solve everything? Like, where's the handing it over to God? God takes care. God balances things out. It's not up to us, to manage everyone.
How can we know that? And it's the last thing we do. It's like, no, God, I don't need you yet. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to be stressed and anxious, and I'm just going to deal with it all. And then when you can't, you go, okay, fine, God, you take it. Should be the first thing that we do.
I know. I love it. Well, I know you have to go. We have to go. It's Global Love Day. Measure your love. Learn about Scarlett's program. Listen to Pato's music. Pato, did you talk about your Pato? What's it called?
I have a beautiful album called Love is the Greatest.
Love is the Greatest.
You can find it everywhere. Every song on the album is about different aspects of love. Bob Marley's record label, Tough Gun Record, released it. And it's a beautiful album. So that's the album I'm going to be playing today to celebrate. And there's so many other beautiful love songs in the world. But yeah, that's my contribution.
That's our
That's
theme
so
song for Global Love Day. And by the way, all of you listening, if no one has told you today, or even if they have, we love you. And you are more than enough. You are so worthy of love. And just wear that today. Let it soak in. You are loved. We see you. We hear you. You are valued.
Yes,
That's right.
say it to yourself.
God loves you more.
Yes,
God loves you more than we do. That's right.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much. And
Right.
Pata's next album is going to be called Hope is Really the Greatest, but we'll wait for that.
Oh, whoa, wait a minute. What was the album again?
Compassion is the greatest.
Love you all so much.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.